Bam! Welcome to Boom.
Super Bowl LVI.
We all ready to fight. That's right. It is Super Bowl week. Just so we all predicted at the beginning of the season that it would be the Los Angeles Rams and Cincinnati Bengals. That's what we both said.
Yeah, look, I'm real excited, man. People doubted me. They said the Cowboys wouldn't get there, and we're there, and we're going to win this. We got this going. Denial will not be a part of my life.
That's right. And I'm looking forward to that Eagles game on Sunday. You know, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Going to play Madden all day until I reach
Doug Peterson,
great.
Cowboys coach now. I mean, things have changed in the NFL.
Yeah, I hired Doug Peterson back for the Eagles in Madden, so it's great. It's a great day.
Nice. Cowboys versus the Eagles, Olympic Games in Beijing.
So who you like Sunday? Like, we'll just go right up the bat. Who you like?
I think we should. So look, man, you're gonna hear me for the rest of the time we ever do this show as one of the biggest Joe Burrow fans I know.
Mm-hmm.
I've been touting this kid for a long time. I had a lot of naysayers, especially after his injuries around me. They're like, nah, man. I was like, I would love for him to become a Cowboys quarterback. So I would trade Dak and Zeke together to get Joe Burrow. I mean, I think Joe Burrow's that good. I mean, I'd get rid of two stars on my offense for that guy. Look, on a coaching side of things, off the field, I think Rams have the advantage. On the field, most people would say I'm wrong here, but I think the Bengals actually have the advantage on the field. I think they're going to play a little hungrier. I think their wide receiver set's a little better, personally. And I think they got the better quarterback. It's the coaching that may be the differentiator of the game. I don't know. But I'm going for the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and put my score out there. 38-35 Bengals.
Okay. Look, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So 34-31 is my final. And I believe Cincinnati is winning as well. My reason...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not expect that to come from you. I thought for sure you would tell me that you and OBJ, since y'all been hanging out, that he's convinced you that you are going to win.
Yeah, see, it's the fact that he's hanging out with a loser like me knows that he's not winning.
Hey, at least it was down in Florida on a boat with a bunch of people right before a big game.
All right, he would never do that. I think it's going to be a fun game. If you want to, we can break down a little bit of the matchups. I think the Rams actually, I do think there's a lot of advantages the Rams have. Like,
definitely. I do not think this is like I don't look at this and go Bengals dominating all day. I don't even look at it and think Rams dominated. But I do give the Rams overall the edge as far as talent, coaching put together. But I think the heart and the clutch sits with the Bengals.
I look at a lot of like the position matchups, like the Rams wide receivers versus the Cincinnati wide receivers. I'd probably go slight edge to the Rams. Cooper Kupp is just insane. Odell Beckham has been wonderful for them. Running game, I would probably give it to the Bengals. I think Joe Mixon has been just better than what Cam Akers has been able to be. Even, coming back from that injury, God bless him, ruptured his Achilles in the offseason in July. Everybody assumed his season was done. And he comes back last game of the regular season and then has been a big part of their playoffs. So kudos to him, but I just think Joe Mixon is just a little better there. Offensive line, I'd have to give the advantage to the Rams. Defensive line, I'd probably still give the advantage to the Rams, although it's a slight advantage. Linebackers, I'd say it's probably a wash. Secondary, I'd probably give a slight edge to the Rams. The one area where I give the advantage to Cincinnati, as far as on the field, is the quarterback position.
Well, you already gave him the running game, so that'd be the second.
Well, okay. Well, I'm saying like the one big area advantage.
Okay. The area that stands out.
Yeah. And to me, whenever if you're sitting there and you're debating who you think's going to win and like it's, a nip and tuck, just go with who's the better quarterback. We've been using that rule the entire playoff.
I mean, look, and let's not forget, the Bengals beat Kansas City in Kansas City. That's a statement win. That's not a fluke. They didn't kind of just barely win. I mean, they came out, they hung the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry, in the first quarter, they got beat up. They warmed up, and they were able to come back against an offense, which means their defense stood up to Kansas City's onslaught, which means if they can do that to Kansas City, it's very likely they can do the same thing to the Rams.
Oh, definitely. And it's funny, in that Kansas City game, the AFC Championship game, as soon as right before halftime, when Kansas City did not score there before halftime, didn't get a field goal and didn't get a touchdown, I radio it. They're down 21-3, the Bengals, and I went in and in game bet the Bengals on the money line. And I was just like, I think the Bengals are coming back and winning this thing.
And let's note this too. At any time did Joe Burrow look nervous, under pressure, wobbly?
Nope.
He looked Tom Brady-esque at a younger age than Tom Brady was Tom Brady-esque.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing I look at, and I just think, man, the moment doesn't seem too big for this kid. Like, is it? And I almost feel like he's too young, and he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know he's supposed to be scared in these moments.
No, you know what it is? I thought about it. Me and you talked a little bit about it last conversation, about how, he only talks whatever. The only time he becomes cocky are in the moments where he needs to shine. And you'll notice he'll go back to – yeah. And that's why I think no one calls him on it as being offensive or too much. It's because he does it when it matters and he puts it on the line and he stands up to the moment and he doesn't fail. So you can't knock him for it.
Right.
Yeah.
If he delivers in it, how can you sit there and say, oh, what a cocky little – like – because it's not like he's out there spouting off when he's not delivering. He's spouting off, and even then, it's not like necessarily talking. Like when he's driving down with LSU to put what really was the game's sealing score, and they're driving, and there's a timeout, and he looks down and he points down to his ring finger, "Fit me for my ring," and it's like, it's just, I feel like it's more of a belief in himself. He's never I never see him pointing at an opponent and taunting an opponent and being like, haha, it's more of a, I believe in me and I'm confident in me.
Yeah. On my life coach channel, I always say something about cocky and confident. People will say, well, what is the difference? And I'll say it's easy. It's just 2 words: track record. If your track record is solid, then it's confidence. Cocky people typically will be that way regardless if they're a winner or they're a loser. Winners have the track record that backs up their confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Losers are cocky with no track record. And this guy has had nothing but success from high school to college to now the NFL. He hasn't failed at any level, which is why he can do that in that kind of moment. You can't say much to him. It's not like he's not going to have a moment where he thinks he's going to win and he's going to lose at some point.
Well, of course that's going to happen.
But majority of the time, you're going to side with he's probably going to pull it off.
Well, and you look at why do you believe that? And it's not just those things don't happen by accident. Like you talk about, part of the difference I think between cocky and confident is cocky is you're the shit and you don't necessarily you can just roll out of bed and be better than everybody else.
No, cocky is you think you're the shit. Confident is because of the track record.
But I'm saying the confidence comes from you put in the work. You have the God-given talent, and you've done all the preparation you need to succeed in that moment. Yeah. I've heard a lot of great athletes. I remember Cliff Lee one time said part of he's yes, he gets nervous before games, but what always calms him down is knowing the preparation he puts into it, and the game is just the execution of the preparation. And that's how he relaxed himself when he
all the names I've ever known. Same thing. If someone wants to take me and start naming names off in the NFL over the last course of the last decade, let's just go back to 2000 to now, and name me all the names in the NFL that have been great. I bet there's only about 5 to 10 of them I'm going to go, oh, yeah, I know who that is. The rest of them means they were cocky because it was their attitude. The other ones that are confident and have a track record is because that was their lifestyle. It's the way they operate, period. It's who they are wired in the personality.
Right. And it's not just like Joe Burrow isn't just this confident guy on Sunday afternoons when he's out there playing. He's confident when he's attacking, film preparation. He knows he can get in
Yeah,
there.
he's cocky when he goes to the
Right.
grocery store and he knows his budget and he knows he's going to make that budget when he shops right. He's
Right.
that guy that when he diets, he knows what that diet's going to be and that he's going to be underweight, whatever he needs to be. He's
Right.
that guy that's like, I have confidence because my decision making is sound. It's kind of like if you take a teenage boy and a car, right? Most boys are going to go, I can run that thing around a corner. I can skid that perfectly, but they can't. That's cockiness. Confidence is Jeff Gordon, the guy who actually went to the NASCAR because he did it a long time ago when he was a kid and in NASCAR. He always knew what he was doing because of the way he calculated that decision. It wasn't just his attitude. It was actually his personality wiring.
He wasn't just winging it. He put in the work to where he knew what he was supposed to do. And I feel like that's a big difference. The cockiness is, I'll just show up and I'm going to make it happen.
Now, do you think Joe Burrow is enough to overcome the Rams defense? Do you think Ramsey, that the scheme the Bengals can play offensively, can keep Ramsey off in a way that they can actually get some passes in there? Jamar Chase and them can do some work and get in that end zone there. Do you think Ramsey is going to disrupt the game? And obviously, the defensive guy, who I don't even need to name, are those two going to disrupt this game?
Oh, sure. They definitely have the potential to. And if the Rams are going to win, like that's what needs to happen. Jalen Ramsey needs to, be that elite defender. And the big boy, number 99, Aaron Donald, needs to do what God put him on this earth to do: murder quarterbacks.
I don't know. I think one of the underestimated things we don't talk about is the Bengals' offensive line is pretty solid.
Well, I mean, they've had a couple of
not perfect.
Yeah, the game against
the fact that they kept the Kansas off Joe Burrow was into me. I honestly thought the defensive line of Kansas City was going to eat the offensive line of the Bengals alive, personally.
Right.
And that did not happen. Now, either that's coaching and scheme, or the offensive line just physically is better than we think they are.
I do think there was a lot of scheme to that because Joe Burrow, there was a lot more emphasis on getting the ball out quickly. And he was not.
Something I heard Sean Payton say, you might find this interesting.
Yeah.
They said, what's the difference between this Super Bowl and last Super Bowl? He said, last time I over-prepared.
Oh, Sean McVay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Who did I say?
Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean McVay. Sorry, future Cowboys quarterback, trying to get my mentality there. Not quarterback. Dude, cool. I'm all over the place. Well, I don't want Dak on there anymore anyway. So he said he over-prepared. He said, look, I just got too into it. I was too intense on myself. I was paying attention to too much detail. He's like, this time I'm taking more of a half-measure approach where I'm looking at it with some flexibility and scalability. He didn't use his words, but I'm guessing that's what he's trying to say.
Right.
Obviously, it was a long conversation he had. And I think he's looking like, I don't want to be uptight in this game. I want to play loose. And I think in the last game against Patriots, he felt like he played tight.
Sure. And you know what I think part of the belief is? Like he has more of a belief in this quarterback. I mean, obviously, he's not going to ever say anything to dog what Jared Goff was able to do. But
I mean, Goff did take you to Super Bowl.
Yeah. But I'm saying I think he looks at this and says, at the end of the day, if I need to, I can let Matt Stafford, let that arm loose and just go win it. And Matt Stafford is good enough to do that. And I'm hoping.
Look, and I think everybody's got a little bit of a soft spot, for Stafford, right? Stafford's been through the ringer. He's had a wife with major cancer. He's been through the ringer. He's that guy that he looks like he deserves it.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a lot of fans because of that. But I'm still rooting for Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow's the man.
And I'm a Matt Stafford fan. You know that. I've brought that up a few times. I really like him.
Honestly, if it wasn't Burrow and it wasn't the Cowboys, I probably would be going for the Rams in this game.
Right.
But at this point, with Brady leaving, I need the next man up who I need to cheer for, who I think exemplifies what the NFL should be about. It's Joe Burrow.
Well, and it's funny, you bring up Tom Brady leaving and retiring. I think it's
never say never, as he said the other day.
I do think he's one of those guys that once he makes his mind up and makes a decision and goes one way, he's not backpedaling. Like
I think he's just screwing people by saying that. I think he knows the effect it has. He's going, oh, they'll hold off drafting a bunch of quarterbacks. They'll wait and see if I'm going to come back. I know. I think he's toying with him at this point. Now, look, since we're talking about Tom Brady, I will say what's interesting is, he said, I want to spend more time with my family. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, look, I don't know about y'all, but I sleep 8 hours. I probably spend about 3 hours a day eating, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, there goes 11 hours, I do some conversations with people, exercise a little bit, need a little downtime from the workday. So I'm like, in the end, you got about 4 hours. I can't see Tom Brady being focused every day like he was. Now he's got some business stuff, but that's part of the work thing I was talking about that you need to come down from. So technically, the family time is only going to equate 3 to 4 hours, probably max a day, if even that.
Right.
So I really think this is about Tom going into the business world and getting more focused on that and letting Giselle do what she needs to do without having to worry about moving and stuff like that. So when I think he says family, I think what he means so they can focus on their new goals, not necessarily like family.
Right. Do you think he goes into broadcasting at all?
No, I don't. Honestly, I think Tom Brady has a very different view of being the GOAT. He doesn't want to do anything that puts him in a light to where he can be criticized again. He wants to be remembered the way he walked away, and everything past that is like TB12 brand and stuff like that now.
Right.
Is where I think it's going to be at. I don't think Tom Brady would ever put himself in a position where he's talking constantly, because of the way he's very political at carving his conversations to say the right thing at the right time and whatnot. He's not really an authentic. I think being an analyst would turn him the wrong way. I don't think he'd be happy doing
it. Interesting, because I think he could be good at whatever he wants to do. Like, I think he could be a good broadcaster if that's what he wanted to do. And
he probably want $25 million a year to do it. And I don't think anybody would pay him that much personally. Maybe for the first year, but I think after that he'd never get a raise.
Right, because the novelty. Tom Brady.
Yeah. Look, Romo has set the standard.
Yeah.
We talked about last time. Aikman may be going to Amazon because of Monday Night Football being aired on Amazon.
Thursday Night Football is going to be aired on Amazon.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Thursday Night Football. So I think Troy Aikman's honest appeal for doing that is the Romo contract. I really do. I think he said, I'm the best commentator on your network for football you have. Romo went to CBS and gets paid more than I do. Are you going to pay me that much? And if Fox said no, I imagine he opened himself to other deals.
Yeah.
That's my thought process. I have no proof on that or whatnot, except for a phone call with Troy Aikman, but what's the big deal?
I had a phone call with him and he said something to the effect of, if Tony Romo's getting paid that much money, he wants to get double that because he's been doing it longer. And
I heard that he asked Fox, if I don't get a clean shot to hit LeVar Arrington one time, then there's no deal you can give me that's going to work. And LeVar Arrington said the same thing. I want an offer to hit Troy Aikman one time free, no interference, or I will not sign with your network. Notice we haven't seen LeVar Arrington.
Yeah, funny how that worked out.
Yeah, but look, Tom Brady retiring is a big deal. I saw NFL players talking about it crying, and some of these were, rivals of his or people who had criticized him through the years or whatnot. But he is so iconic that when he retired, even they freaking had tears, and they knew that the changing of the NFL guard is being handed over now. It's official now, right? The new quarterback generation is now up to be basically scrutinized to see who's going to be the best out of them, and will you ever rival Tom Brady? Me personally, and I'm not a big person on saying records never will be broken. I don't think anybody will ever have 7 Super Bowls, personally. The league has changed to the point where that's much harder to pull off now due to free agency and the way things work. I think Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were an anomaly that just happened to happen. Here's what I think when people always ask me, and we have this debate a lot down here.
Sure.
Who benefited more? And I said, Brady benefited more from Bill Belichick in the beginning. Bill Belichick benefited more from Tom Brady in the end. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good way to put it because as a young player, learning how to be a professional, and that's what Tom Brady was doing at a young age.
Well, and
Like,
defense has won a couple of those Super Bowls.
oh, sure.
You know,
And
in the
like,
beginning.
mm-hmm. And did you? Like, I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of the Man in the Arena.
No, I have not. I have
Uh,
not.
fantastic watches. I've watched the first four,
I got Tom. I watched Tom versus Time, but I never saw Man versus Arena.
and like he talked about like how, in particular, after after Super Bowl 39 when they beat the Eagles, on how that was sort of like really the closing of that group that won it and so it kind of like he got into more of the conversation of guys were going to leave, guys were going to want more money, and coaches were going to go and get hired elsewhere, and like you can only do so much in that time before the success comes, and like everybody wants their taste, everybody wants a bigger piece of the pie. And that's why it was so amazing what they were able to do in New England. And even there, where I think there's this perception that like it was like even though it was 20 years that Tom was in the game, like, and then you look at it and say, well, he was in 7 Super Bowls. Like as great as he was and everything that he achieved, he still like over half of the time that he was in the league wasn't in the Super Bowl, and that's a record, representation of how hard that is. And
yeah. And I think the one thing that will always get Tom Brady, the one thing that if he looks back and says, that's the one thing I wanted that I never got, was an undefeated season. And the Giants robbed him once, and then they beat him again. So he lost, there's 2 rings he doesn't have because of one team. And I think that team is the one that he always felt a little scorned about. But
right, even though he did lose to the Eagles, and he beat them once before too.
Yeah, and look, and I think Tom, the reason I think that one bothers him because that was probably the best Patriots team ever that lost that game, which is hard to believe that the best Patriot team would lose the main game. Hey, any given Sunday.
Funny, in that episode of it, Tom talks about it and says he thinks that was the best team that he ever played on.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, dude, statistically, that's not debatable. Statistically, that team blew the stats off the door. They are the best Patriot team statistically on paper to ever come through. So I mean, that's not really debatable. Anyways.
You know how we ended that episode?
What?
Hey, oh yeah, by the way, fuck the Giants.
He did?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he was kidding around, but he was
Yeah. Look, I think Tom, I really don't, other than an undefeated season, there was nothing left for that guy to prove.
Right.
He's that guy that can literally hang it up and go, I did everything an NFL player should ever try to do. And I accomplished it. I didn't just attempt it. I got it.
There were 2 things that I thought Tom Brady would try to do if he got the opportunity. One, you just mentioned the undefeated season. The other one was hitting 3 straight because no team's ever done that. Won 3 straight Super Bowls.
And I think had he won this one this year, he might have stayed around for one more shot to go. Let's see if we can pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he would have gone to the team and said, I'll sign a 1-year contract. I'll give up like 20 mil. Go get me the best freaking receivers. Go get the best linebacker available go get the best defensive end passer. I think he would have been like, dude, give me $1. Take all of my salary and go get all the best players you can get.
I'll take the league minimum and just go freaking sign everybody.
Which is still $575,000.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. CEOs don't even make that half of them.
Right.
So even if you're the lowest on Total Bowl, you're still doing pretty damn good. 2 years, you can buy $1 million home in the NFL on the lowest end of the roster. But, look, there's even you, I remember at one point, I want to say it's probably 2016, me and you used to talk on the phone. I was playing video games or something in the afternoon, and you still hated Tom Brady, and even you eventually said, look, man, I can't even fight it anymore. This dude's the GOAT. I give up.
Yeah.
And it was after the Atlanta win.
It was the Atlanta win. That was when I was just like, I mean,
there's nothing left.
The greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. Yeah, Tom Brady. And I still remember sitting in my apartment watching that game, and I had a couple friends over, and we're watching. And the one guy it's like, middle to late third quarter, and he's just like, it's 28-3, and he just looks and he's like, I think I'm gonna go home, man. This thing's just about over. And I looked at him and I said, I mean, do what you want. I said, but Tom Brady is a bad man.
Yeah. And Mark Wahlberg did the same thing. Remember, he said he left in the third quarter.
Right.
And he said, by the time I was in the parking lot, people were like, dude, Tom Brady just scored. He's like, what? A lot of people, even the biggest fans of his, were Bolton. That was the game that taught everybody, don't ever leave a game if that dude still got time on the clock.
And it's funny, when during the Eagles Super Bowl in 2017, I always gotta go back to Super Bowl 52. There was a little part of me that I remember when
he was heading down towards the end zone there at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I was like, but you know what? The people that were in the room with me, I thought the Eagles were going to win that game. And they had asked me why. And I said, there's an old line from Caesar that I like. And it comes to Rome. He goes, it's not the fat and the rich I fear. It's the tired and the hungry. And the Eagles, to me, were that tired and hungry team. They wanted it. Right. They hadn't had one. They hadn't been there in a while. There was no complacency in them. And sometimes, even though the Patriots were systematic and had great coaching and had Tom Brady, sometimes that hunger is what will take you over that edge. And I think the Eagles had it that year.
They are still human. Like, you forget that because the Patriots were just so, like, Oh,
no, Caesar says the ones that is the poor and the hungry, not the fat and the rich. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense and that was an example of that. The Eagles were just so hungry. You could tell if any team embodied and understood what their fan base had been through, that team did.
Yeah.
And because a lot of times it's like, obviously these players don't necessarily, all like Nick Foles is not Nick from South Philly who, grew up loving the Eagles and, oh, wow, here I am playing quarterback for him. He's doing his job.
That's one of my favorite lines I ever heard. Foles Gold, and I was like, dude, totally. Even I was enamored by Nick Foles. I thought you guys lucked out having that guy as your backup. You really did. Talking about someone that had the composure, there against a team like that. The guy, the way he did the fake play, he just looked like he'd ran that play 1,000 times.
And supposedly, they had run it, obviously in practice and stuff. In practice, it never worked.
Hey, if it's ever gonna work, it's like the annex of Puerto Rico on freaking Little Giants Disney movie. Use it when you got nothing else going for you.
Which it's so fun. I remember a couple of years ago playing Madden, and as soon as they had put that play on Madden, and so I was just like, first play, I had to run it.
Oh, did they? They really put it on Madden? I never saw it.
Yep,
that's
I
funny.
Had to run it, and of course, Carson didn't catch it.
Well,
yeah, I should have put Nick Foles in for that play.
Yeah, look, Tom Brady leaving the league. Like I said in our last segment, we are now looking at the third generation of quarterbacks. We got the Mahomes, we got the Lamar Jackson, we got the Josh Allen, now we got the Burrow. We got the Herbert. We literally are littered with badass quarterbacks. So all basically,
in the AFC too, by the way.
What?
All in the AFC. Are we about to see the AFC?
We talked about that.
Yeah, go on a run similar.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I really do. I'm almost. If I had to pick it, I think we're going to see a 4-run Super Bowl of AFC, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, like if you look at, because in my mind, the best teams right now, obviously, you have to say Cincinnati and LA because they're in the Super Bowl. Yeah. But like if you'd rank the rest of them right now that you'd look at, like how do you not say the Bills, the Chiefs, like the Ravens, the Chargers, like they're all like those are your teams that are going to be fighting it out for that, and the Tennessee Titans, who are the number 1 seed now.
The number 1 seeds did not look number 1 when it came. And I told you, I never want to be the team that has the gap of momentum. I hate that. I don't want to be off. I don't want to buy. I don't even want to be first seed. I want to be the team that plays all the way through. Because to me, those seem to be the ones lately that are showing the talent level to close the Super Bowl up.
Well, I know Cincinnati, they only had 1 home game in the playoffs, the wild card round against Las Vegas.
Yeah, so most of their major victories are on the road in someone's hostile territory, and they're pulling it off.
And there's something to that whole, like, when a good road team, like when the Giants went in and ruined the Patriots' undefeated season, like they were, I believe they were a 5 seed, and like they played all 3 games on there. They were road warriors throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
And there's something about that whole, I guess call it a bunker mentality. Yeah, us against the world. Like some guys really thrive on that, and some teams really, feed off of that energy of, hey, it's all we got is us. And and I think the Cincinnati Bengals are one of those teams that have done that as these road warriors in the playoffs. It's been that, it's us against the world. Nobody thought we could do it but us, and here we are. And I think there's something to having that mentality. Hey, look, and I hate to always keep harping on my experience with the Eagles, but like the Eagles had that, wearing the dog masks, and you can find comfort in that odd and unifying factors.
Yeah, and look, when I think about the Patriots on their run, when I think about the Cowboys on their their 3 run, which should have been the only 3-peat at this point.
Right. Oh yeah, I think of Jimmy Johnson.
But when I look at that, the difference is that none of those teams were driven by something that was bothering them. They all just had a good system and good solid coaching that stayed consistent. And to me, that was the difference. The other teams that typically don't get there seem to need the other thing to me. They need the chip to make them get that one Super Bowl and then likely not repeat. Even the Bucs to some degree probably needed that, even with Tom Brady there. They needed that chip to get them in there that they were not expected to win, even with Tom Brady at one point. You
remember seeing the memes in the offseason of the Buccaneers saying, if you weren't with us when we were 6-10, don't be with us now when we're 7-9.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, if Tom Brady could have played that game twice, he may be in a Super Bowl. That wasn't like a blowout. It wasn't a dominant performance by the other team. They just happened to lose that game. And I look at that. Go ahead.
That is the finality of the playoffs. That was one of my favorite lines that John Madden.
Any given freaking Sunday, man.
Yeah.
No doubt. And Saturday in that case.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't a best of 7 series. This is one game, and if you have a bad day, that's it. You're home.
Yeah. Thinking about, in that kind of scenario, that's why I think even baseball and whatnot should move to a 3-game series, best of 3, best of 5, this whole 7, people feel worn out. The reason football is so good, it has that gladiator mentality. Who's going to be left on the ground bleeding out?
Well, the nature of the sports, it makes it to where baseball.
Well, what I'm saying is if baseball wants to have a future and a strong audience, they might want to start fixing that at some point.
I think what baseball is going to have to do is they're going to have to speed up the pace of their game, and I don't know, actually have a season. I'm glad we inadvertently here brought up baseball, and because of the whole lockout that they have going on. It's funny. I the other day I tweeted out on Twitter at MLB and at MLBPA, and real simple. I just said, "Do you guys even like baseball?"
Right? Y'all seem comfortable.
Do you guys even like this game? Do you want to play?
I think baseball isn't. I don't think baseball has originated the same way NFL is, where NFL you get paid by their game. I don't think baseball quite works like that.
No, baseball's got guaranteed contracts, but
so you can sit and be comfortable.
This year, though, if they don't play, they don't get paid this year.
Yeah, it's the owners really that hurt in the end. It's the attendance and the operations and the people who pass out the beer. That's where the real hurt.
Sure. But baseball players, if they don't have a season, they're not getting paid this year either.
Right. You have to step on a diamond at some point in order for your contract to be valid for the year. But let's say, they get in there and they play 10 games and then they get in a big disagreement and they all back out to a lockout. Well, those dudes are getting paid.
Yeah, then it becomes a series of lawsuits. But I do think if they settle anything, they'll settle it and play.
Yeah. And look, every sport has controversy. NFL and their whole, we're trying to work out a COVID thing for the Super Bowl and whatnot. as you can tell around the nation, other nations, people are getting tired of the idea of a lockdown. People don't want to be constrained anymore. We're over it. We're done. A lot of people were over this a long time ago. Just the rest of them are now starting to catch up with where America's been for a while about it. But, you know, the NFL is a interesting business because they align themselves with organizations that 2 years from now could be completely an organization you don't want to be tied to, you know. But I think, and that comes down to Goodell. And I thought it was interesting, speaking of like the Super Bowl and their decision that they picked SoFi, knowing California's stringent conditions and restrictions in their state. I thought that was moronic. I'm like, why wouldn't you go to a state like Florida or somewhere again, or somewhere where you know you have no restrictions, nothing to worry about, you can just plan the game and go?
Well, the NFL, they plan out their Super Bowl locations years in advance.
Well, and they planned out a lot of stuff before COVID came along, but we made adjustments so that the league could move forward.
Yeah. I mean, you're
talking about one game moving, just changing one game to a different location. That's not that hard to do for the NFL.
Well, I understand, but like basically,
I'm talking like a year ago they could have done this. I'm not talking like, obviously you're not going to do it 3 weeks leading up to Super Bowl now.
Sure.
But I'm saying a year ago you could have been like, California has a lot going on. Maybe we should go ahead and plan to have it elsewhere. Go ahead and put that in motion now, and we'll have it in SoFi. And then the following year, we'll swap whatever was going to be next year in SoFi. I mean, I don't see why that would have been so hard.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been that challenging. Well, I mean, it would have had some different challenges. If you already had planned logos, well, you got to just change that up. Like,
yeah.
It's not
like the NFL doesn't have the money to make slight changes for a game.
Sure.
Now, look, I get halftime show, but I'm talking a year in advance. They don't even announce the halftime show a year in advance. So I'm just real surprised. And again, I think this comes down to Goodell. I think Goodell is a very controversial figure.
Yeah, he is. I think there's a lot of things that he could do different, that he could do better.
From a fan perspective, for sure. From a money earning perspective for the NFL, the owners love him. That dude has banked. He's made exclusive large deals with networks and whatnot that have made them far richer. That's why, even though he gets booed when he goes up there to announce, the couple of draft picks.
Yeah, he don't care.
He doesn't care. He makes $55 million a year. That's not important to him. He's making the owners money, and that in the end, that's all the people he answers to.
Yeah. Ultimately, he's beholden to the owners.
Yeah.
And not to the fans. Like, you'd like it if the commissioner was, more beholden to the fans. I'd love for sports to go more that way.
I prefer the previous commissioner of the NFL personally. I think he had more of an honorable, keep the game integrity there. He wouldn't have joined a bunch of the organizations. Like, I think because I don't think the whole social justice movement would have been the same for Tagliabue. I think he would have been like, look, we're about football. Let's play the game. The fans tell us what we need to do. They're not saying go with that. So let's move forward. And
look, I think that there's a few other things. Now, we don't know what happened really in Spygate, like the Patriots. And part of the issue that happened there was they destroyed all the evidence. Like, they got all the evidence and then just destroyed it once they made up their mind. And to me, that just screams that you were trying to hide something. There's more there than what you were letting on.
It's either that or that whole discovery process led to other vulnerabilities about the NFL. Maybe the Patriots called other things out about the NFL that other teams have done, and all that got put into the discovery evidence, which means it would have basically unfolded a giant burrito of evidence of misconduct across the league. Because I'm sure the Patriots challenged what the NFL was challenging them with their own evidence of other teams' mishandlings and whatnot. And I think what the NFL looked at it and said, this is just one giant exposure case for us. I think that's what happened.
Oh, and it could be. But here's the thing.
Well, I think that's their reasoning behind destroying it. Right. I don't think, say that's exactly what happened per se, but
I don't know that Paul Tagliabue would have handled it that way. I think he would have just said, you know what, if it's got to come out that there were some other improprieties, then that's what has to happen, and we'll deal with that on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, or Tagliabue would have said, you're punished, put the evidence in storage.
Yeah. As opposed to allowing the destruction of it. Because to
look,
me,
every
that
10 years, we go back and look at cases because they don't have that immediate, all the fans freaking out and everything. We can go look at it at a time where, cooler heads prevail and we can look at what we could have done different.
Well, and it can be something that like you do inevitably at some point kind of open up to and say, hey, look, this is what happened this is the evidence that we found during that time.
Yeah. Look, like Troy Aikman said, and I'm a big, if Troy Aikman backs it up, then I always feel Troy Aikman is a pretty honest and sincere guy. He doesn't really speak with a lot of verb or past that. He's not a vigor person. And he said there's absolutely no way in hell Tom Brady didn't know the pressure of his own footballs that he throws. He goes, as a quarterback, we always know. And he said, look, I was a quarterback in the 90s, and I knew, and they're even more precise and more informative now with all the data they keep. He's like, so there's no way that's not known. Now, to Troy Aikman's credit to what the other part of the sentence he said, would it have mattered that much? Not really, because it's just for Tom Brady's comfort. It's not really because it gives you some massive definitive edge.
Well, okay, but then like
I'm just quoting.
Yeah,
Aikman.
no, I know.
Yeah.
No, and that's fine. Like I don't have a problem with that. Like,
I mean, they did slaughter the Colts after that was revealed. They still put up 40 on them.
I know that the main portion of the damage was done in the second half when the footballs were at the appropriate air pressure.
Yeah.
But like to me, the results of the game doesn't like affect my opinion on the rule being broken and the deliberateness of the rule being broken.
Sure. Yeah. But my whole thing is, and look, I'm real big on this in life, period. If you're going to call somebody out, I don't believe in making someone the example. I believe in forcing, changing, and investigating all of it altogether. If you're going to look at what footage has been revealed, like I said, my guess is the NFL has probably had other instances besides the Patriots where people have reported being filmed, being taped, people spying, doing microphones where they could hear stuff. And I'm sure the NFL looked at that and said, look, we just need to address this across the board, that teams can't be doing any of this or we will come down like crazy on them. But the only way everybody's going to know about that is if we keep all the evidence and reveal everything that happened during this case. We don't want to do that. We just need to make personal phone calls and tell all the teams if anything outside these bounds happens again. I think the Patriots set the standard of the tone the NFL uses going forward. But I think making an example of the Patriots, which they did, I thought that was wrong. I thought they went a little hard on them. And I say that from a sense of I don't know what else the NFL has on the Patriots. If there's some long list before that and it's like legitimately been verified, well, then sure, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But they didn't reveal anything to us. So I can't say, oh, yeah, make them the example then.
Right. Well, so then you're just going like all we can do is respond.
I'm going with what they let me know.
Given.
You know what I mean? Now, Tom Brady's cell phone thing, I forgot, was his cell phone not working? Everything was deleted or his phone got destroyed?
He destroyed his phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which when people were freaking out about that, I'm like, look, I was an IT director for a very long time. I can look up the phone records of just about anything without a physical phone. So that really wasn't that relevant to me. I think the only reason why he didn't physically have that phone is because he physically didn't want to hand it to Goodell or whoever was in that room so they could just go through his entire phone and look at whatever they wanted to. Right. Of the case. But as far as like records, texting numbers, what that message was, you can audit that from a phone company. The government, for those who are watching, the government can do that at any point. Just FYI.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny, like, and like I was one of those who said, well, if you didn't have anything to hide, why didn't you turn it over? But you know what? There is privacy in this country.
Yeah. And I think the NFL wouldn't care about his privacy. I think they would have acted, we're only going to look for this kind of stuff on this phone. You know, they would have been going through his photos. Who is he talking to last week?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, bullshit. To me, if I'm Tom Brady, even if I'm completely innocent, I would not feel comfortable turning over my phone because you think that they're not going to look at that one. That I know they can't just cherry pick what they pull out of a phone. Like they have to go get everything or they don't get anything. Like if they're getting it out of the physical phone. Now you said subpoenaing records, like as far as text messaging stuff they can do.
Yeah.
But to me, like I think he was worried about the contents of his phone getting leaked.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Because he knows for a fact that no one's just going to stick to exactly what they need to look for on the phone.
Right.
They're going to go through everything else and laugh, take a couple photos with their own phone of the phone. I mean, with a message on it, or let's say he has a photo of Giselle on there. It's naked. Let's say when he went in that meeting, they wanted the phone right there, and that was a surprise to him.
Sure.
Don't know.
And look, I mean, Tom Brady's a human being, and he's an adult male who,
has a model wife.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
but also
who doesn't want the photos off that phone?
And also, but look at what Tiger Woods went through with all of who's to say Tom Brady
didn't have a mistress on there?
Yeah,
we don't know.
And it's like he doesn't.
And that's none of our business. But you think they would care that it's none of our business? They'd make it everybody's business.
Care.
Yeah.
And who are we to judge him for it? Like whatever. And you're going to ruin the guy's life. Why? Because some footballs were deflated. Like, come on.
Yeah. And he's smart enough to know that he lives in an age where one person leaks it, it gets online, and there's no ever stopping it from everybody. Ask Pamela Anderson.
And hey, look, all it takes is one person just out there saying, "Oh yeah, I was involved in the investigation with Tom Brady, and when we were looking at his cell phone, man, the messages he had from all these other girls, even if it's not true, all you need, you put that out there, and enough people are going to run with it because they want to smear the name of Tom Brady."
Right. Oh yeah, no doubt. I can see the smirk on someone's face as they upload that to the internet.
Oh yeah. Or
now,
a conversation taken out of context and just put out there. Yeah. There's so many different ways that could have gone sideways for him, so I don't blame him for that. Yeah, and I hope that to some people, I know it won't matter that all the success that Tom Brady had, they're still going to go back and look at it and say, well, he was involved in.
Yeah, they're going to try to asterisk.
His team was involved
they're going to try to asterisk him.
The Spygate and Deflategate.
But where Tom Brady's real validation is the players of the NFL all pretty much feel he's the GOAT.
Well, yeah.
That's the real value. Forget the fans, forget the outcry, forget the other coaches or teams or organizations. The players as a whole respect him as a GOAT. I'm sure I can find 10 or 15 who don't. But the players as a whole that walked up to him after the game, that sent him messages that are some of the best in the biz, the reason they feel that way, because they've seen him do it on the field. They faced him. They watched him defeat them. They know that there was no cheating involved. He outplayed them, and they won't forget that. And then they look at the amount of Super Bowls and they say, what is there to debate anymore?
Well, I think the Super Bowls, and it was, to me, it was just a showing of what his work ethic was.
Yeah. I mean, the dude, I don't know if you watch Tom versus Time, but he has a personal trainer just to help him with the mechanic of his elbow. That's it. That's all the dude does. $100K just to look at the mechanic of his elbow and see if it can improve on throws. That's all I did. I mean, the guy invested in himself, and that's why he got investment back.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't just invest in, I hit the gym, I worked hard. I mean, the dude, look at what Giselle had to say. This guy can't get away from game tape. He's like a freaking coach.
Yeah.
Except he plays one position, but he watches game tape like he's a coach.
And look, that's what it takes to be what Tom Brady was.
Yeah.
It takes.
Yeah, you want to be the greatest of all time. You've got to do something better than everybody else is doing it, which means your dedication's got to be up, your mental acuity's got to be up, your attitude's got to be up. You've got to eat and breathe and live and sleep football, and that's what he did. And that's why he felt the pressure that he did to step away from the game sooner at some point, because his wife was on his back. Because I don't think it was a matter of spend more time with the kids. It's Brady can't think of anything other than what he's trying to focus on, and his wife knew that.
Oh, and I think it's just, if he was going to go back into next season, he wasn't going to just half-ass it. It was going to be, okay, these are the 17 opponents we're going to have next year. I want to sit here and I want to think about what it's going to take attacking each of these teams. What am I going to have to do each week? And then when that schedule comes out, you're going to be thinking, all right, week 1, we got this team. He's going to want to dive into that game tape right away. Even though he's not allowed in the facility, somebody can get him a copy of somebody's game tape, and he will go through and he will study it. He'll have all the guys over so he can have his unofficial practices with the different receiving groups.
Yeah.
And
the one thing, who I think Tom Brady's actually going to be a lot like getting away from the game. I think he's going to be a lot like Joe Montana. The
Yeah,
reason Joe Montana
yeah.
holds his status because he didn't do analyzing. He didn't become some
Mhm.
broadcaster. He did a couple of commercials, and he's Joe Montana. And that's all there is to it. And I think Tom Brady is very Joe Montana-like in that kind of mentality. There's no reason to run your mouth. There's no reason to get involved. There's no reason to retire from the game yet still want to be right next to the game. I don't think Tom Brady wants any of that. He just wants to be remembered as the GOAT. And you look like, like the old saying goes, and I say this on my Life Coach channel, you can't miss somebody who's already right there. And the further Tom Brady is away from the game, the more we remember him as a legend. And the more we look at him that way. The closer he is to the game, the more we're kind of like, well, he's right there. You're not thinking about him being gone. And I think he's smart enough to know that his effect on the game is by getting away from it after having done so much, a lot like Joe Montana did.
Yeah. Look, I think you could be onto something with that. Now, if Tom Brady were to choose to get into broadcasting, I think he'd be excellent at it. I think it'd be, and I would enjoy it. But yeah, I do think there's probably, to me anyway, if I were Tom, there would at least be a year where I just said, I need to get away from all of it, spend that time with the family, see if there's other business and stuff that I want to do. And you don't want to wait too long because that opportunity is not going to be there forever. But kind of like what John Madden said when he first walked away from coaching, he had no interest in going to do broadcasting and being a part of the media. But
see, Romo reminds me of John Madden. Not yet because he's real young, obviously, but his tenacity and his attitude. Tom Brady reminds me of Joe Montana. Aikman is the one that I think I really didn't know anybody. Maybe a stallback, maybe. A little more Aikman-ish or whatnot. I was real surprised to see Aikman go into the booth actually at a certain point.
Well, I think what it all comes from is just you love the game and you want to be able to teach the game. You want to be able to talk about the game even though you're not able to play it anymore. And so it's a way.
I just see Tom Brady as more of that right off into the sunset guy. I don't see him as I need to still be close to the game. I just don't see it. It's a psychology.
I wonder if there's going to be, the competitive side of him. Like if business is going to draw out the juices, because I've heard lots of former football players talk about it. The hardest part of it is you're such a natural competitive person that can the regular world bring out that can it excite you the way that the game day did? And if the business world does, then good. Then I think he'll have plenty of success there. If it doesn't, that might be what brings him either in. I don't think he's ever going to be a coach because, God, all the demand.
He could pull a Jordan, maybe be a partial owner of a team, something like that. But Tom Brady, to me, I think he thinks he's not in a cocky way, but I think he's so far up on that cloud nine of NFL people. He could only be in some of the most powerful positions, I think, for his own psyche at this point to be close to the NFL again. That would be being like a team owner, owning part of a team, or being an advisor at a top level to the organization, but on a very hey, come to my house, sit in my backyard, let's talk about your team. Not I'm going to go to your office from 8 to 5 and sit with you guys and figure things out. I don't think he looks at the NFL. I think when he looks at the NFL, he looks at the business of it and says, had I ever played bad, you guys would have cut me on a dime. Now that I'm done, you've been cut on a dime. I'm moving on with my life. That's why I think Tom Brady looks at it. And not from an ugly perspective.
Yeah,
he's
I know
angry.
It's like,
you know what I mean, though?
Nature of the business. Hey,
I just think he's done. I think he's in his head, he said, I gave you everything down to my last drop, and now I don't want to give you any more on any level.
Well, and gosh, it's funny you say that because in John Madden's did you watch the Madden special?
The documentary?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good.
And I love what he had to say when he was retiring from coaching. He's just like, I'm retiring. He's like, because I've given all that I have, and I can't give you anymore.
Yeah. And
I feel like that might be the way Tom feels. He's like, I've given this game everything I have, and I don't have more to give. John
Madden passing, Tom Brady retiring, all this in a football season. This is a very iconic football season. This has also been
Yeah.
the best playoffs I've ever seen in football history.
Oh, absolutely.
Every
Yeah, I
game
think
down to the
it's the best.
freaking
Yeah.
wire or overtime or a field goal. The most competitive. Everybody's on a more even level in the
Mhm.
playoff. This has been an insane football season. I will never forget this football season over any other one that I can remember, other than maybe the Cowboys in the 90s when I was a kid. Other than that, like I've never seen anything like this before.
2017 season.
Yeah. The Raiders, Herbert shootout. You know, the Chargers. I mean, the Raiders are probably going to let you go to the playoffs, and you screwed it. There's so many things. The Josh Allen Mahomes shootout. It's just insane. And we still have a game to go.
That comes out of this playoffs is they changed that rule on for overtime. Just let both teams possess it. At least just
I agree 100%. Just let both teams possess it. That way, if they both touch the ball and you don't do anything with it, that's on you.
Yep.
Yeah. That will kill the controversy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I mean, if say the Chiefs comes down there and score, and Josh Allen takes the Bills down, they don't score. Well, what are you gonna do? You lost.
Yeah. Just make it a look. And I'm okay if they want to do a first round. Like, hey, if they make a field goal, all you have to do is make a field goal. But if that's gonna be the first? The second has to be do or die. Like if they score, you get another possession, but you have to score a touchdown.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to answer what they do. Like, I mean, otherwise the game's over.
I agree with that. Otherwise, we're still going to have they made a touchdown or whatever. I'm all about get rid of extra points in overtime. Everything should be 2-point conversions. Just get rid of it. Make everything a play that counts at that point. Including the extra point. Make it a play that counts. You don't get the 2, you're done. You're cooked.
Well, I mean, I think you should be like. I think the rule should stay with you score the touchdown, you kick the extra point, and then the other team comes down. So now, if you score a touchdown, you decide you're going to go for 2 and put the onus on the other team, you can do that too. I mean,
look, my deal is I'm thinking about the
future.
I'm fine with
saying after one overtime, once we get if say you come down and score, you get the extra point. The other team comes down and they score, get the extra point. Well, the next time if you score a touchdown, there's no lining up and kicking.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, no, straight up on point. My whole thing is not only with the NFL on that, but you should also be doing things that are simplifying and speeding up the game. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I look at it. The future of sports needs to move faster. The generation is changing that's watching. The attention span is shorter. And not that you should just shorten the game just to create them, but you need to find some kind of balance. You need to get rid of commercials. One of the ways to do that is get rid of the 2-minute warning. It was in the 60s because players did not know the play clock. Because we didn't have giant screens at the time. There's no reason for it other than we're used to it. Get rid of it because all it does is cause a commercial break at this point. And I'm over freaking commercials during football games.
I've got another idea for you. How the game clock starts a lot of times you kick the football off. If it's a touchback, that clock didn't move at all.
Yeah.
Clock starts, foot hits ball.
Yeah.
When foot hits ball, the clock starts.
And get rid of holding for linemen. Get rid of the penalty altogether. If you can't get the guy off you, then you can't get the guy off you.
Yeah.
Now when I say holding, as long as it's no neck collar grabbing or face masking, just straight up, if it's hands in the box, the waist to the numbers, and the holding's in there, who cares? That means you can't get the guy off you. That's on you.
Right, yeah.
That would get rid of some penalties. That would speed up the game.
The other idea I had was right along the line when the clock starts on the kickoff. Well, then right after the kickoff, the clock then stops until they run the next play. Well, no,
keep it going.
You line it up. Maybe you stop it right off the bat, but as soon as that referee blows the ready to play whistle, clock starts winding. We're going again.
Yeah, I think they should do that in general. I say the clock should run on every play once the ref has put the ball back in its spot. The clock should only stop for ref placement at this point in my time or injury.
You don't think incompletions?
No.
Okay.
Well, when I say that, let the ref get the ball back. Once the ball gets put back, then it starts running again. I'm not saying when he misses it, it doesn't stop. Mm-hmm. Well, whatever it takes the ref to get the ball placed back. And there's experts they can bring in for that. Bring in Dak Prescott. He knows all about that now.
And I mean, who
Burn.
should be allowed to spot the football? Should a player be allowed to spot the
Yeah.
football, or
No, I don't believe that.
I
There's
know.
no way because, man, all of a sudden players would be like, wait, red flag. That dude gave himself an extra 10 yards. What the hell? Like,
What are you talking about? Wait, I'm not letting you see the center take the football, run up 10 yards, line up. All right, everyone, let's go.
All right, now you catch the kickoff, you get tackled, and then your center comes on the field and runs, takes the ball to the one on the other side and puts it there.
Like what?
Yay! And no, let's say for one reason or another during that one play, no one freaking notices. Everybody lines up on the one. Something like that would happen. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying let cheating into the game, but
Right. No, I got you.
yeah, I think getting rid of holding, get a 2-minute warning, keeping the clock running all plays until ball spotted. I think, man, the game would at least shave off 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we're not asking for the game
And 4 commercials on top of it.
Yeah, we're not asking for games to be only an actual hour. But
Well, they run 3.5 on average, I think.
yeah.
So I say kill that half and bring it down to a 3-hour game.
If you make that a 3-hour game, you've done
Yeah, because then I'll start tuning in for bullshit games. I'll start actually watching. And forgive me for saying this, I'll actually start watching a Jets game if you're going to give me an under 3-hour game.
Ooh, I don't know.
I'm probably lying about that, but look, I'm trying to get in the moment here.
But I'm saying, one thing, I love the London games. I wish we'd have some better games for those London games.
Well, you got to put better teams if you're going to have a London game. You can't be having the Eagles in London and the Jaguars. I mean, what? Come on, man. You're not getting nothing out of that.
Best experiences of my life getting to go
to me, you know what it should be? The London game should start being the 2 teams that play in the Super Bowl should have to play each other in London.
Well, if they're scheduled to play each other, but at least have the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl, they have to play a game in London. Sure. Like even if it's not with each other.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to start forcing games that aren't scheduled.
No, I'm saying put it on the schedule. Like the year before, whoever plays in the Super Bowl, when you're making the schedule for next year, go ahead.
We already know if the Rams and Bengals play each other next year, which I don't think they do. So I don't want to just create that matchup just because we're always going to have the Super Bowl teams play each other. Because there's a scheme to it. There's a formula to how you get your schedule. And I don't want to offset that. I want that to still.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to upset, the $1 billion industry of the NFL. That would be crazy. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings up there. I might have to send them money in an envelope if I do that.
I have $11 in an envelope ready to go.
I still can't. I'm pretty sure it was $11 that we sent to Emmitt Smith.
Well, look, I don't care.
Let me rewind that tape. I think it was $11 that they sent that they tried to extort out of me to do. Trying to run a little mafia during a freaking Cowboys football game on me. But yeah, I don't think I donated any money to that. I look at it as Emmitt Smith can fend for himself. Yeah. If he's hurt, he's broke and got no insurance, then he's going to play better because he's going to be hungry and poor. And then win a Super Bowl, which he did. So my method worked.
Out. Yeah.
My method worked. I don't even remember the year he broke his arm. I think it was 94.
94, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
How do you know that so well? Do you have a poster of Emmitt Smith's broken X-ray in your screen behind you? You got an X-ray of it? You got an X-ray poster? You're like, yeah, and then I got the video that plays 24/7 of Irvin getting hurt in the Eagles Stadium, and I play it 24 hours a day.
And every time it happens, I'm always like, oh, no, he's not going to catch that, is he? He's not going to – oh, damn, he broke his neck.
Yeah, the play, the Dez Bryant catch in Lambeau, I was watching the Romo football.
That would be the one that would be on loop for you in hell.
Yeah, no doubt. And I watched A Football Life the other day with Tony Romo. Mm-hmm. For those who haven't seen it, it's documentaries on players and coaches and some teams. And it is a great documentary series. And Romo's was a really good one. It showed how – Romo was definitely – Dak may have more yards, and I think he broke some of Romo's records, but he also had a better wide receiver core to throw to than Romo did. Mm-hmm. But Romo was, to me, more clutch than Dak ever was. If you go back and watch Football Life, he pulled off games where he should have been down and tackled. And he has more, I believe, Sunday night victories than any quarterback in NFL history. A last-minute wins or under 2 minutes or something.
Right.
I was on A Football Life. It was very interesting to watch his. I did not know that until I watched that. And his wife is hot, So that was really good too.
All right. Okay. So good. Wow, we've been going over an hour now. So
Well, it's Super Bowl, man.
yeah.
Close to.
I'll just give you guys an idea. I'll just real quick go through some of the prop bets that I was thinking about making for Sunday.
All right, what you got?
I already bet Cooper Kupp to score a touchdown.
Oh, geez, man, that must have been a difficult decision for you. Like he isn't going to. Like, come on, man.
Well, I mean, it's.
Let
funny.
me guess what's up next. Matthew Stafford actually throws it to him for the touchdown. Man, you got some good predictions here. I can't keep up with your wizardy.
Well, no, I do have both Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow going over their passing yard totals.
Okay. What do you have them? What do you think they're going to pass at? What's their totals put at?
Well, so I think their totals right now
330?
are what you bet on right now. I think it's like 279 for Stafford.
Oh
and
yeah,
like
no,
259 for Burrow.
Yeah, that's going to be over a 300-yard game each of them.
I think. So.
I think 325, 330, somewhere in there, 340.
The other one I bet on Joe Mixon receptions. I think it's at 3.5. Another thing.
Are you doing anything on Jamar Chase?
I might do him as an anytime touchdown scorer.
Okay.
It's just a matter of whether or not I think Jalen Ramsey's going to be stalking him all day. Because if so, I might when I go.
What's your score? You haven't given me your score.
34-31.
What'd you say?
34-31, Cincinnati.
So you like me? You haven't by a field goal. I can't believe you're pinning Cincinnati. I could have swore coming into tonight's segment you were going with the Rams. You got me. Yeah, you totally fooled me. And it's not like you were, because you were on the Rams bandwagon a lot this season. So I was thinking, you're definitely not going to lean over to the Bengals.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just watching the playoffs as they've unfolded and how the season ended. I just look at Cincinnati and say, right now, they're the team playing the best football. Or I'll say they're the team playing the loosest, and I think the team that plays the most relaxed usually wins in these Super Bowls.
Yeah, I'm going best quarterback scenario. I think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback.
Yeah,
Look, if the Rams won, I would not be surprised either. Like I think it's a close enough game. There's enough talent on the field. There's enough good coaching on the field going on. That schematically, if I see something in that game where I'm like, dude, Ramsey is shutting down Jamar Chase's ability to get open, if they're closing off the tight end on the Bengals from even being able to get a slant pass to him, I'm like, if the pressure from Donald overwhelms the line and Burrow is scattering. I mean, look, we have seen Joe Burrow, run in the backfield, and he looks pretty good. He can dodge some stuff and get it out. He's like Brady with Mahomes-like mobility. I'm not saying he can do Mahomes-like stuff mobility-wise, but he has that component that Brady really never had his entire career. Burrow does have some of that, which to me ups the level. Now, do I think he's going to get 7 Super Bowls? No, but I could see Burrow with 4 Super Bowls.
Oh, sure. I could see that happen.
Yeah. And it may be 3 on the Bengals, 1 on another team. I don't know, depending on, age and whatnot. Like I said, make your prediction now. We'll go over a decade of from now. So we'll say, we'll go with 2030. In 2030, do we think anybody will be close to moving in to 7 Super Bowl territory? Do you think anybody will have 5 Super Bowls on one team by one quarterback? No? Okay.
No, I don't. And the reason I say that is because we rattled off the quarterbacks that are in the game right now. Like, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, we thought Mahomes was going to be the next multi-Super Bowl, and this dude's now been denied 2 chances out of 3.
Exactly. And I think that
where it looked like he was probably going to get it, and he didn't.
And Josh Allen's yet to get into one. Like, I got to believe that, like, next year's – and look, who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be the Phillip Rivers of this generation? Who's going to –
Could be Josh Allen.
It could be Josh Allen.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What would make
or it could
most
be Herbert.
sense?
Same organization.
Same organization, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to be that guy who's going to put up gaudy numbers and everyone's going to look at it and marvel and think this guy's incredible, but he never gets anywhere in the playoffs? That could easily –
I wish Rivers would have stepped back a little bit and said, I'm going to pull a Brady and I'm going to wait for the right team that's not rebuilding, that's ready to go right now and take a shot at the Super Bowl. And I think he would have got a shot at least getting to a champ game probably again.
Yeah.
Like, I think he could have gone to the 49ers and probably had some success before Garoppolo. He could have told, the Chargers, look, contract's up. I want to go to the Niners, and then made
Well, it
they
wouldn't
make
matter. He's a free agent. He could have gone. He could have gone and signed.
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is he could have, even before that, just said, look, this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to do. Just FYI, I'm probably not going to be here after my contract, and then got up and then made a phone call to John Lynch and said, dude, I want to be a 49er. And I think they would have made that happen over Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean.
That's what I'm saying. I'm very surprised that Rivers did not try to go to a better primed and ready team. I mean, the Colts were decent,
Just
but
not his nature.
No one thought they're going to the Super Bowl.
Just not his nature, I think. It's not like he's just not the type that's going to rattle cages to just get what he wants. I think he was one of the.
Well, he does have a kabillion kids.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I remember one time I saw him smack something in the stadium and the sack broke and all his little children ran off, and I thought it was like a spider. It wasn't. It was all his kids coming out.
Yeah. All right. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll probably be back here next week to break down the.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got to recap what we see. And then we'll talk coaching hires and possible free agent trades that we can already see and people expiring contracts and where we think they might land.
All right. So after this, man, it'll be that long off season.
Yeah. After next episode, we will slip into a deep hibernation and depression.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There will be it'll be some dark days. Hopefully, like someone can, help us with that and get us through that.
Yeah.
So
glad we're ending the show on a good note.
All right. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We will see you next week.
Later.